Greetings everybody, welcome to G4G here on YouTube. Today we are in the third video of a series that I've been talking about called Gear That I Missed the Most from Marvel Avengers Alliance. And if you remember, the theme of what I've been doing is gear that you could really design cool strategies around. Because it is some of the gear that I missed the most from Marvel Avengers Alliance, because that's where I think the game was at its best. And in this particular video, we're going to go back to where it all started and talk about the Emerald Prism. So, the Emerald Prism was featured in a Kingfisher video very on in my Marvel Avengers Alliance career, and it was "The Thing is Invincible in PvP." If you've never seen the video, it was basically a video that Kingfisher did to talk about Black Bolt and Thing as a combination, really making use of Black Bolt's ambient particles. At the time, he admitted that it was mostly supposed to be about BB, but it instead became about Thing because Thing became nearly indestructible with a certain setup, and that was heavy ambient particle charges on the Thing coming from Black Bolt, and also using the Future Foundation outfit, which granted him Tough Guy, so he got defense when he was attacked. I don't think, yeah, the regular one doesn't have it. So you got Tough Guy, which you granted a defense and attack. A defense when attacked. You had the ambient particles from Black Bolt, and then you also had the Prism. The thing that really worked is that when you did Stonewall, you had the chance to get an extra turn and regen some stamina when attacked. So basically, he would defend. The enemy would have to attack him because he was defending. He then had a chance to get an extra turn, and that really plays into both sides of the Emerald Prism. Now, what also I don't think was really highlighted in the Kingfisher video is the fact that while active beneficial effects are not removed by enemy attacks or harmful status effects, so essentially this helps seal in your buffs. So nobody could purge the Stonewall from him, nobody could purge the Emerald Prism from him, nobody could purge the ambient particles from Black Bolt. So that is how neatly that team fit together, and that was the first video where I was like, wow, there is a whole lot of crazy thinking you can do in this game. I would like to do that too. Now, this was a tournament reward for Diamond League in PvP Season 10. It would show up later on in the game, and this is also when you got the Blueprint, Tactician's Aegis Armor, and Bishop. Now, this was not a season where I was particularly good at PvP yet. I believe I probably placed gold on that one. Let's see what 11 was. Let me gain my bearings over here. 11 was the Mystic, Infiltrator, Empowered, and then Spiral. I think maybe I made it to the Mystic on that one. Let's check. The can opener. Okay, so the can opener. Okay, so the Prism came from a season where I was still probably a gold player. I made a push for the Beyond Corp can opener because I had a feeling something about it was going to be useful very soon. And shortly after that season, they had the robots from the arcade Spec Ops. And that's where I was like, damn it, that mechanical stress would have been good. And then here was the Agent Venom season, and this is where I did start getting better in PvP, because I did have the Voodoo Staff, and actually I caused a little bit of jealousy among some of my friends that I had started to leave behind when it came to PvP, because Spirit Field was very unique. It reduced AoE. And then I'm pretty sure by season 14, was it Rocket? No, it was Hogun. The Grim Mace. I think I may have been adamantium at this one. I know I definitely got the Grim Mace. Was this the customized? Yeah, okay. That's the one that looks like the debuff Mace's name. I forget. The Brute, maybe? Is that the Brute? I wonder if it's going to say this one looks like the Brute. No, it doesn't. Okay. So, yeah, I think the Brute is the one that did something like remove buffs or whatever. So, I didn't earn the Emerald Prism. I didn't own it at the time that I had seen the Kingfisher video. So, I tried really hard to use other things in its place, like the Void Shield from the Void Generator and the guns. And you can see later on we would... it would be sold for gold in 2014, and this is probably when I got it, was this gold sale right over here. A little expensive for 64. I would say this maybe would be worth in the 40s unless you built a team around it, and then eventually we would get the Jade Prism, which is the free action version of it, and it came from Daily Gear. I do believe I ended up, whenever I used the Prism in the future, going with this version simply because it was the free action and it suffered no negative side effects, whereas this was only a regular action. Like, this wasn't even a quick action. That's shows you the balance of this. This is a really, really strong piece of gear, but it's not even a quick action. So that's pretty interesting. So what this did is that every time you were attacked, your defense went up, and every time you were doing the attacking, your attack went up. So that was really, really good in certain characters, like in Kingfisher's case, he used the Thing. Thing was able to use both of it. Every time he defended through Stonewall, his defense went up, thereby escalating the defense. And then because he got an extra turn, he was able to make a reasonable use of the extra attacks over there. Now, they were full-blown turns, and, you know, you gained some turns out of it. Maybe you would get Thing to act twice in a particular round top. So it's reasonable, and in all honesty, it's like putting peanut butter on a turd pie with Thing. Even if you buff his attack up, there's only so strong Thing is ever going to be offensively. Now, I haven't watched this video yet, but this was from a video that I did that said why you should have grabbed the Emerald Prism. So again, I want to state this is not Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux you were seeing on the screen. This is the old Marvel Avengers Alliance that I did a video for on YouTube. I'm not playing any of this. This is a video that I put up on YouTube. See, 255 views, 2014. So look, that corresponds with the sale date. So yeah, I did drop 64 gold on it. Now, what I was attempting to do here, and I know exactly what I'm going for in seeing the gear, I was using the smart set. So I used the power supply, and then Cable is going to give me an extra turn off of that level 9 over there. So temporal shift, he makes my agent go again. And then I think I'm going to have... Yeah, he just attacked. So. Yeah, let's watch this over here. Smart weapon overclock. Yeah, what I was attempting to do here was to stack the follow-ups from the smart set. So if you were not familiar with what the smart set was, the smart set was a farmable set that was in somewhere in season 2, one of the chapters. And it basically was a set that had a lot of synergy with itself. Oh, slow it down. I want to see this a little bit more over here. So basically what's happening is... Ooh, ow, that's spicy. Okay. So every time I attacked over there with the Revolt, the Emerald Prism buff stacked on me. And my attack kept going up and up and up and up every time I used the Revolt, which at the time, this was before the quick action, free action nerf, The Revolt was limited based only on the amount of ammo that you had built up for it. Using something like the Power Gauntlet built up the ammo that you had. So you could fire the Revolt multiple times on a particular turn. And every one of those turns that I did, the Emerald Prism buff stacked on me. So this one was agent focused. This was not on the character. And man, wasn't it sad that Apocalypse didn't look like this in the X-Men movie? I really do hope Dark Phoenix winds up being good. And this is where the free action version would have come in ridiculously handy. Because I would have been able to use it and do more on this particular turn. That's why the free action version was considerably more powerful. And had I done Unlock Potential, yep. So this is a really tight setup over here. Emma gives me Unlock Potential, which raises my buffs, my stats a little bit, and then Cable time shifts me. And actually, I'm stupid. I should have put Flanked on the boss over there. That was a mistake on my part. I was not taking advantage of Cable's Flanked. But look... Alright, let's pause this for a second. Look at my attack. It's already plus 745. I have 6 in the count for the gun. I have Potential Unleashed. Snappy Service is what made this a quick action. That's the suit. And I have 1 stack of the increased attack from the Prism. So let's see what this looks like after I start attacking with the Revolt. Hopefully old me in the past shows my stats a little bit over here, so I don't have to time heist my way into this video. Alright, so there's 1 shot of the Revolt. Seems like Apocalypse has maybe got some counters going on here. Oh, he switched to an Infiltrator. That's why he's countering. Ow. Getting a little spicy there. Definite mistake not to have put Flanked on this guy. Oh, I want to see my stats. Ooh, it was there for a split second. I'm sufficiently killing my agent over here. Okay, there we go. So this is what the Prism did. If you look, my attack is now plus 1024. I've attacked 5 times. I've been countered and been attacked 4 or 5 times. So that's why you see the increased defense go up. I have a lot of radiation exposure from him. And I've been weakened, which is why you're not seeing my damage really escalate. But this was the value of the Prism. Now, in this particular scenario, I was favoring only my agent. Where I would find the most use for this in my entire career, and I still say was the best use of all time, the Emerald Prism, was none other than Team Punch-Out, aka Molly's Fist. So, I think I'm going to use the Gauntlet there. Yep. Gauntlet almost put him down. Oh, my agent died. But it worked out pretty well over here. Apocalypse had a big hit put on him. Still say it was really, really sad that that's not what Apocalypse looked like in the movie. But Molly Hayes. Let's go ahead and take a look at Molly Hayes over here. Now, unfortunately, Molly would wind up taking a huge nerf in the game when Playdom rolled out the stamina nerf. And what that was, if you were not playing at the time or you were unaware, is that stamina was always a big thing in PvE. In PvP, basically your stamina was so high it was rarely ever an issue. Then they changed it to bring it more in line with PvE, and if you were running what was called the PKB theory, or the Pot Kettle Black theory of ISOing your characters, you would always give them health, you would ignore stamina, you would give them attack, accuracy, and then one of the 2 defensive stats. If their defense was already high like this, you put it into defense. If their evasion was the better of the 2, you put it in evasion. You always went for accuracy because of crits. Not just you wanted to make sure you didn't miss, but also you got crit out of accuracy. So with Molly, all bruisers on the field gain 1 stack of enrage for having to work with Molly Hayes. That was not usually that common for me. Determined, she was immune to stun and incap, immune to fear, or excuse me, resistant to stun and incapacitation. She was immune to fear, and then later on she got the Runaways rallying cry, which was try not to die for other Runaways. I didn't make the biggest use of those right there. But believe it or not, Molly was considered a mutant in the game. If you look at her team-ups over here, she has Children of the Atom, which is the mutants, which means the mutant gadget, the power of the Brotherhood, what the hell, the Brotherhood, I think is what it was called, was a major boon to her. Let me see if I can find that over here. What was the name of that thing? It did something special for... It did something special for, mutants. It's the effect of Hellfire, Brotherhood of Mutants. I'm not remembering the full name of the thing here. That sucks now at this point. It was the gadget that gave them basically like the powers of Angel. You got a morale boost if people were mutants, and then you gave them that snappy service buff so that they could use buffs as a quick action. And I'm not remembering the gear, but I had it, and I made use of it a lot. Anyway, so back to Molly Hayes. Molly Hayes, to me, was one of the best, if not the best, use of the Emerald Prism, and I'll show you why. In round 1, you would Raspberry, which is where you would start taunting. If she taunted somebody, she countered them with a drop kick. And then the taunt would land and last her into the second round, which is her Temper Tantrum round. And then you would go ahead and cast the same ability again, except it would be called Temper Tantrum. And she could go ahead and use any one of these 3 moves, drop kick, wind up punch, and let's play catch until her stamina ran out. In PvP, as we discussed, stamina was not that bad of a thing. So she would be able to act for a really, really long time. And basically what you would do is just keep attacking and keep attacking. And because the Emerald Prism was on her, she would not only make use of the defensive part of it by taunting prior to the tantrum, so her defense would go up, but she would also make use of the attack part of it by countering when she was defending. And then when she actually did her tantrum, her stats would go through the roof. I mean, it was ridiculous the amount of attack that she would have. Now you can see here, I built a team around her with the Prism, the Weather Control Device, the Steps of Shulao, and the Cube. So the Step and the Cube and the Weather Control Device, they're not what I would consider really Thinking Man's weapon. They were just very, very obvious. You know, they did what they did. It was, you didn't really build combinations off of them so much, as they were just very high levels of gear that everybody wanted if everybody didn't have. Now the Prism, on the other hand, you definitely had to design a team around this. Let's see, so this was 2015, so this was about a half a year after the Emerald Prism went on sale, and this was my favorite PvP team probably throughout the entirety of the game, and certainly my favorite when I was in the Adamantium Leagues. There were other teams that I used or had to use after this one was up, but watch this combination that we get with the Prism. Let's see if we can see what her stats look like after she's through with a tantrum over there. So one of the things that you want to do is you want to set up like a flanked. And the reason why flanked is important is it's just a matter of extra damage. And it starts a rolling combination with Molly over here, because you see, if she wind up punches somebody and then they're flanked, she then follows up with wide open and combo setup, which means the next wind up punch, because it's unarmed melee, unarmed attack, you cycle the wind up punch pushing into the drop kick, which then sets you up for a combo setup on the next wind up punch, which may stun. It exploits combos. So it is a really, really ugly washing machine over there that you put somebody through, where you just spin them into a debuff cycle that just murders them. So as you can see here, sometimes the game would freeze up going into PvP, but it looks like we will be there just oh wait, no, I see what it was doing. Hold on one second. It didn't load the video very well. Oof. I hate it when YouTube does this. Alright, let's reload this. Every now and then YouTube will just kind of like lag out a little bit, not really show you what it was supposed to show. So let's look at the timeline here. Alright, there we go. So the enemy agent, I believe, is an infiltrator on this one, which is not always good for me. But watch this team in action. So Iron Fist would always do the 9-6, which would give us a huge stat boost, and it would also protect our buffs. Here's Ares doing his thing. Notice I didn't get debuffed. That's because of old Heroic Age Iron Fist. If you want to see what he was like back in the day, this is it. So first, Snappy Service allows me to use the Prism on Molly, and then I'm not too sure why I used the Warm Zephyr there. Maybe just a little. I think I was just trying to give her a little bit of health. Oh, that's what it was. I was trying to give her a little bit of health, and now I used the Blackest Void to get rid of their Mystic. Now, the You're Not Worthy and the World Breaker does stick. Molly, did she take... Oh, it looked like she took a stun for a second, but she didn't. So she's going to go ahead and Tantrum. And she's going to go right into the Tantrum. So there's the van for the first hit. The enemy agent got an extra turn there for some particular reason. Always hated when that shit happened. So now I'm probably going to throw the van again to get rid of the Light Fantastic heal. Yep. So this erases the Magic Mirror with not a lot of damage. Wow, that enemy agent keeps getting extra turns off of something. He might have a Guardian. So here we go. Here is Big and Fast. Yeah, there it is. See? Big. Oh, he's a bruiser. I thought he was an infiltrator on this. I wasn't paying attention to the color. So it's never good if she misses, because now the debuff doesn't go out. Is he Ethereal? He shouldn't be. Oh, maybe he has a Hugin. There we go. Okay, so she's just getting some natural misses. Now I should be going into the Fist at this point. Not too sure. Oh, I'm looking at... See, that's her stats. Okay, look. There we go. She's already at attack 5, defense 5, and look at the bonus to her stats over there. She literally has a bonus of half of her attack power getting added to her. She's almost plus 2,000 in defense, and she's over plus 2,000 in offense. That's what the Emerald Prism does. Now watch these numbers that start popping up. I'm sure we will see huge numbers coming pretty soon. I should be going for... Yep, there we go. Here it is. Of course, it's a miss. But see, even with the misses, you know what? It actually helps Molly, because every time she misses, she still has the stack from attempting to attack. So she's just building herself up even more. So you actually didn't want Molly to miss because it just made her stacks pop up. Look at that, 33k. The entire enemy team only has about 15 to 16k, so that was double their maximum hit points. Ares almost gets one shot. Alright, let's look now. Now she's at 9 stacks, and again, half of her attack value is coming from these buffs. She's plus 32 with a full-on attack of about 6.1k. Provided her stamina stays in check over here, she's going to be able to just destroy them. Now watch this. Boom. 34k white hit. That's not even a crit. And then Ares is going to just go. He's going to melt. Boom. 73.4k. There was almost 73.5k damage to somebody who had a maximum of 16. That is the Emerald Prism, folks. I don't think I can say it any better than what you saw there with Ares at the end of it. And that worked on group bosses. The team that you're seeing was also something that I used heavily on group bosses. This is why the Emerald Prism and then later on the Jade Prism was so amazing. And this is the layers of thinking that go into this game. Now, the Cable Emma one that you saw at the beginning of the video was maybe even more layers of thinking than this one, because it was trying to get increased buffs from unlocked potential, the extra turn off of Cable's turn fuckery, and then I was using the Revolt to do it, and then I was using Snappy Service, blah blah blah. So that one was maybe a little bit even of a higher level of thinking than this, but this is ridiculous. You have the Steps of Shu Lao being so important for Molly on this by buffing unarmed melee. And then you just have her going to town. The enemy agent, if they were running a Mystic, would be absolutely screwed because the cube would take care of that. So you couldn't get protected that way. I didn't see if they were even running a Mystic on that. It was too quick. Alright, so... I saw Generosity go off. That means buff actions give you a heal. Interesting. Oh, you fucko. Yeah, that's a decent counter. Yeah, he's definitely running the ice. Oh, spicy. Really, really spicy, except for the fact that the Emerald Prism said that the buffs couldn't be removed. So nice try, Agent Gaver. You know, and now Molly's really jacked up over here after... You always wanted Iron Fist to go before Molly if possible. Is that Gamora an Infiltrator also? Yeah, that's an Infiltrator Gamora. So here's the taunt. And now we've got to wait again. So we're going to have a little bit of suspense over here. Except she countered, which means she's already building attacker stacks. Isn't that glorious? So I dropped it on her again, just to be sure. And then the Light Fantastic sets up the Mirror Reality. That protected my agent from that big of a hit. Now, Iron Fist, he did have some use as a bruiser. He wasn't there just to be a buff machine. He could give you some offense. Over here, I set up Molly with a combo setup before Molly even takes her turn. So I'm probably going to throw the van and then work on Groot, because combo setup is on him. Which means I can start with the punch. If I was later able to add flanked to this setup, it would have been... It's just so ridiculous. So I bet you I should start... Yeah, get fucked, buddy. That's combo breaker. Ah, look at that combo breaker. Isn't that... Doesn't that just bring tears to your eyes? No, I should have started with the fist. See, and this is where Molly sometimes had a little bit of an issue. Is she would miss a lot. And the Hugins Eye kind of spelt doom for this setup a little bit, except with the Hugins Eye being out there, I would just van the enemy team down the whole way. See, these are just natural misses. Maybe I didn't have her ISO'd for accuracy very well. But the Light Fantastic keeps going off over there. That's why she keeps healing, or she was healing every time she was hit. Alright, see, look. Her defense is 9 because every time she attacks Gamora, Gamora counters with a hit. So that considers an attack. That's why her defense is getting jacked up. Her attack is a little high, but it's only 5 stacks, so it's not really there yet. And she's protected from all the debuffs because in the Emerald Prism, and also Hafe doing his job. Again, misses provided that stamina wasn't too big of an issue. Misses meant nothing to Molly. They actually meant good things. Look at that, 20k. And now we're going to drop kick the enemy agent to set up the combo setups. He counters with a brawl, misses, but it still counts as an attack, so now her defense is jacked up. And there we go. She's now at 8 stacks of attack, 9 stacks of defense. Boom, 55k on an agent that I only think had about 11 or 13. Let's see what happens to poor Groot. Boom, 35k. Obviously, either one of those shots were enough to one-shot the person, and of course we had to deal with Groot's little resurrection, which was always a giant pain in the ass, but then that happens. Yeah, the Prism was amazing. It was the first thing that really got me thinking like this, and I was so pleased to eventually get this thing myself and be able to do a video like this, because it builds on what Kingfisher had as a formula and expands on it. Now, I'm not saying I did anything better than him. It's just that Molly is a better subject for a video like this than Thing ever could be. And, you know, that's back when the agent only had 4 pieces of gear. If I had 5 and could set up flanked on somebody, Molly would still be an adamantium level character at that. Unfortunately, the nerf to Hafe and the nerf to stamina in PvP made this team no longer viable. Had those nerfs not happened, I may have stuck with this team until the end of time, and then maybe added, I don't even know what I would have added to this. Maybe I would have made her phased until she took her... Actually, you know, that is not a bad idea. If I made her phased until she started her attack run, it would have been good, because taunting is not an action that would have remained phased, except she wouldn't have taunted because she's phased. The game fixed that. So that was called ghost tanking. If you were not around at the beginning of the game, there was something called ghost tanking, where you would phase somebody and then make them the taunter, and you could never hit them. So by them taunting, you were essentially making a invincible tank. So there you go, guys. There's the Emerald Prism, perhaps one of the biggest ones in this series. Definitely one of the most important runs for me at Adamantium. I think it made the most use out of one piece of gear in the game. But see, here you go. Hugins Eye plus the T-Bolt on the agent. And as I said, the Hugins Eye didn't exist when the video was made. So if you have forgotten the Hugins Eye and don't know why that would be such an issue... High chance to evade unarmed attack, removes true strikes, does not affect unarmed attacks with Ethereal Strike or Catastrophic Many-Shot. Increase the damage of the next attack. This effect can be applied 5 times. Dodging melee grants you money shot. So, many shot, not money shot. Ha! So, PvP Season 19 would eventually put this on nearly every agent you ran into in PvP. And that made it so it was very, very, very hard to hit the enemy agent unless you gave them a particular pressure point debuff that it might have been slowed. I think with slowed you can't dodge. So that was the Hugins Eye, that was Angela, and that was the Blaster Safeguard suit. I know I had the Hugins Eye. I know I had the blasters. I'm fairly sure that is also how I gained Angela. And the debuff that I'm looking for, I know the Hardened Wakandan Rungu had the debuff that I'm looking for here. Staggered. That's it. Staggered is what you needed to put out on the enemy team in order for your melee to keep hitting. And if you wanted to continue running Molly once the Hugins Eye came out, there were some things that you could do to do it. So I used the Hardened Wakandan Rungu, but I would eventually go to the Manvatara. And this was an old PvP weapon. A lot of people use this in PvP, but I had to use this because Staggered was guaranteed. Anytime you put out opportunistic debuffs, you always got Staggered. The other ones were random. So the Manvatara hit everybody. And it was temporal, so it was very hard to protect against, and it was very hard to avoid. That was how I got through the Hugins Eye era over there and continued to have Molly doing what she was doing. Titanium RPG was Winter Soldier. And of course, the X-Play Exploiter, I would have used this, except for the fact that it had a whopping 4-round cooldown. So it meant that if your Staggered was purged, it was very, very tough to get back to it. But I used a Hardened Wakandan Rungu for a little while until I realized the Manvatara was better, and I used that instead. So there you go, guys. There's the Emerald Prism and the Jade Prism. One of the things that could have been interesting is there was some similar looking gear called the Nornstones that gave you a buff to all your stats. If I had thought about it at the time, and I don't think I did, you combined it with the Spirit of America, which is... Was it Inspiration that did it? There it is. All buff action cooldowns are reduced to 0. Yeah, I'm going to have to try that when Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux comes out. I'm going to have to use War Stories and the Nornstones and see what it's like. But, yeah, Night America really, really broke the game for a little while until War Stories was fixed. But more on that potentially at some other point in time. So there you go, guys. Emerald Prism, Jade Prism, one of my favorite pieces of gear of all time in the game. One of the things that it was most fun to build a team around. It is a nod back to one of Kingfisher's early but super popular videos. So it kind of brings everything full circle. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. And again, if you've made it this far, please don't forget over here. This is not a video about Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux. Don't ask me about the game. Don't ask about it on mobile. Don't ask about how do I download it. You're just going to get ignored at this point in time or get a response of like 3 periods. So stay with the topic and let me know what you think. Have a good one, folks.